Well, I just heard that Raw Dog has been claiming that, Raw Doglet, whatever the hell his name is, has been claiming that the price of silver is going down because there's a surplus every year. Wow, man. First off, you know, it's almost like there's all this leftover silver being accumulated. Let me put it this way. Nobody's going to actually produce this silver anyway if they're not going to have a buyer. I mean, sometimes there's like, you know, the market's got, you know, the yin and the yang. It's not a totally elastic market. Sometimes it could be a lot more buying pressure on something and that causes it to go way the hell up. That is a big problem with the commodities. Not for me, because if it goes up, I like that. But it's a big problem with the commodities because you just can't bring a mine online or drill an oil well and just bring it on. You know, it's not like an easy product to bring online like something else or even like a service. It's a highly specialized field. It requires a lot of capital and that type of stuff. But the other thing is, in the case of like mining, it's a very energy intensive endeavor. You're not going to actually put all this extra effort into just stockpiling silver or something or producing a lot more of it so there's a surplus on the market. You're going to back off your production. I mean, you're not kidding. That's ludicrous what the hell he's saying there, if that's what he's saying. But I'm going to say this, man. You know, if you look at silver's went down the last couple of years, but everything in the commodities practically went down over the last couple of years. Practically everything. Well, copper is a good example, right? Even real estate prices are in other parts of the country, in other parts of the world that were hot markets, like in China, that went down. You know, it's not exactly over supply and demand per se. So, yeah, I guess the demand is not there, but it's not like they have an excess amount of supply. The price is actually depressed is because the economy stinks, and the only reason the equities markets are up is because of QE. But we have noticed what just happened recently when they talked even a hint of about tapering off QE. The markets have all tanked globally, everywhere, damn it. But, you know, I'm going to say this thing also with this game with silver. You know, everybody who's got silver coins kind of hopes the fiat system implodes. We all do. And we're thinking, shit, we'll be walking around with this silver and it could buy everything there is in the world. And ha ha ha, screw you people. Well, it's almost like they're saying screw us too, you know what I mean? Because, you know, whenever time everybody opens their mouth about, you know, silver's, basically the people that got the controls on the fiat money system and the electronic markets, I mean, everybody in the world in the silver community is telling them, you know, we're fighting them, so they're fighting back. They're fighting back. But I guess, you know, the only way to really fight them all the way is to actually stay the hell out of it all the way, man. Don't even participate. Don't participate in crap. That would screw them up. People pull their money out of the banks and stuff like that. That would screw them up. The problem is there's only a few people that are actually doing it. There's not that many people doing it. But if you had the middle class en masse say, I'm pulling my, even if you didn't buy silver or whatever, say you bought, I don't know, say you kept fiat notes or something like that or whatever. And en masse, people did that, that would screw them up. Trouble is not enough people are doing it. But silver has not been dropping in price because there's an excess supply. All the commodities have been dropping in price. You know, they're not going to like just mine a whole bunch of excess silver and store it up someplace. That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. You know what? I don't think anybody, you know, I don't know the industry like that, but I just know like business in general. Nobody's going to put out a lot of money to make a big inventory on something that isn't a hot market right now. That's especially when it's very expensive to produce that item. You know? That's really like 101 business right there. Nobody's just going to say, I'm going to make a whole bunch extra of this stuff, you know, because we got, you know, the machines are going or something. I mean, if the mines need to slow down, they slow down because the demand isn't there. Actually, where there can be a real shoot up in price, though, is you just can't bring a bunch of mines online really quick. So, with this, you know, what they're doing right now at the silver price is they're dropping everything so bad that the junior miners are getting all screwed up. Nobody's really, you know, since commodity, like they do this happens with oil too. I mean, if you know, they're going to stop drilling for oil. They're going to stop doing this. All these companies are going to go bust and all this type of stuff. And then the product's not going to be there. And when the demand comes into play, you know, say it's even the same demand, there's not enough supply, you just can't bring it online. You can see it's real easy to back off the throttle, you know, back off and roll back the throttle and, like, you know, bring the RPMs down with the production. That's not a problem. They're not going to keep the production up really high if they got a product nobody's buying. But where it could shoot up is where you just can't open up a mine and say, hey, I'm going to open up a mine and get it producing silver right now. Oh, God, man, there's so much stuff involved with that. I mean, I don't know all the details. I saw some of it. I mean, there's like EPA studies, impact studies, environmental studies. You know, there's, you know, things you got to build roads and stuff like that. You know, you have, like, with the wildlife. And if there's an eagle in the area, forget about it, man. If you got an eagle, forget about it, man. Shut the mine down. You know, I'm just joking, but that's basically what it is. So, and you know, actually people play with this silver stuff, like the silver. It's like, nobody's really playing it hardcore. You know, they're just thinking it's a get-rich scheme all the way. Actually, it's more of a survival tool, man. I'm going to tell you, silver is going to be worth something. If the actual financial system does come down, I think it's going to really be worth something. And I'm going to say this, too, even about another angle with the commodities and prices of anything. You know, like, even the food prices don't seem to be going up despite all the droughts and all this type of stuff. And you hear all these stories about, you know, bee colonies falling apart and you know, there's another 25,000 bees found someplace that were dead and stuff. Food production's actually pretty low, but the price isn't up there. But, you know, I think there's a lot of games being played in the electronic markets. A lot of this, it's not really, the market itself is not really moving exactly the way it should be, you know, through supply and demand. In a way, the electronic markets is almost like price fixing. You know, they're setting a price in electronic markets. But, you know, just put it like this, you know, what happened in the communist system? I mean, this is supposed to be the capitalist system, but we got a ruling oligarchy back there playing around with the computers, with the you know, the commodities and stuff. But it's like, what happens in a communist system when they set a price? The stuff gets scarce, right? That's actually going to, I mean, right now, it's not scarce. I mean, you can buy silver, but it's going to get like that if they freaking keep playing the game too much. It's actually going to get scarce. That's the thing. And, you know, I won't call it like an electronic price and a physical price. I'll call it a government price, you know, or not a government price, but maybe like a Wall Street set price and a black market price. Black market price being a real market price, you know. That's where, you know, if they're playing games too much with this stuff, but, you know, I don't think that's actually going to work like that. I think electronically the stuff is actually going to go up a lot too, and it's going to go pretty damn high. But you know, like I said, you're not gonna produce an item and just like stockpile it or some shit. That's bullcrap. I mean, in the case of palladium, it happened that way because in Russia, since 1936 or 1937, they had a nickel mine. And they were mining nickel, and they had this other junk called palladium, which nobody had a use for, but they knew it was really rare, and it was a noble metal, and they just kept stockpiling it. But they didn't, like, just stockpile it for the hell of it. You know what I mean? And in the case of silver, I mean, it's not like the price of silver is going down and the price of copper is going up. They're all going down, man. Everything's going down. The price of copper's been going down the last couple of years too, right? So, I mean, it's really the commodities in general are getting hammered, which tells you that the real underlying economy stinks, which tells you the QE is not really working. The only thing it's doing is holding up the general stock market. But, you know, I'm not going to give you numbers with the freaking silver stuff because I suspect all the numbers. I'm just telling you, like, how it is in the business world. Somebody is not going to freaking produce a bunch of product that cost them a lot of money to produce and just stockpile it and have a surplus. That's ridiculous. They just back off the throttle. But if there's a big demand comes in about, and all the the mines got kind of like all the startup ventures and mines went out of business and stuff, and there's a big demand for silver. They're not going to be able to just snap their fingers and bring it online. So that could drive the price up a lot, But on the way down, it's very easy to throttle back production. It's no problem. They're not going to freaking just make mine a whole bunch of extra stuff because they can't slow the machines down. So I don't know. I don't know if I shouldn't even bother to answer somebody's questions, man. But that's just business 101. That's business 101. But the reason the commodity markets also really go haywire like this is because once the price drops too far, the mines or the oil wells start running, losing money. They can't or they just barely survive, and they can't open up new mines or new oil wells. Like it's like gold, silver, oil, or whatever. And what happens then? The demand pretty much stays the same, but then all of a sudden there's like this backlash, and then all of a sudden you can't, the demand's still there, or maybe it goes up a little bit. You just can't bring a mine into production and snap your fingers and get it going like that. So on the flip side, that could actually drive the price up a lot. But, my game on this is I think like what Mark Farber says, man. The freaking shenanigans and the bullshit that going on in the derivatives markets and all these electronic markets and all this crooked stuff they got going on with special software where they could trade and rake in all kinds of extra money by front running everybody. It's all going to implode. And I don't want to take part of it. I say, screw it, let it. The crooked weasels on Wall Street, you're going to get theirs. That's the way I look at it. So I'm just holding on.